Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Cameron and today we're going to do a beginner's tutorial to food labels. So what we're going to go through is how to read a food label. Just a beginner's tutorial. It's going to be nice and simple and I'm going to give you some guidelines. And today we're going to look at how we figure out the serving size, the calorie content. We're also going to go through the fat content of each meal, sodium, carbohydrates, protein, and we're going to look at the ingredients as well. So let's get started. So to start with, we're going to do serving size. Now this is important because the rest of the food label is generally going to give you all the information for one serving. So it's important to work out what one serving size is. As you can see here with our wonderful chocolate Lucky Charms. I'm not sponsored by Lucky Charms, just in case you were wondering, but if they do want to sponsor me, you're more than welcome, Lucky Charms. Give me a call. Is that 1 cup is a serving size, or about 28 grams. Alright, so here's our calories. That's what we've got highlighted now. A lot of people like their calorie counting. I don't personally like it, but if you are counting your calories, this is going to be important. It's essentially how much energy is in each meal. Now if you live in Australia, it's going to be in kilojoules, and other parts of the country or other parts of the world. Now a kilojoule, 4.2 kilojoules is a calorie, so that's your quick way to work it out. So if you're looking into how much energy is in each food, you've got to look at your calorie section. Now really important, and they've started to add this to America and hopefully they'll add it to Australia soon, is calories from fat. Now the reason that's important is that most things, let's say they're like 98% fat-free or whatever, when they give you that metric, it's measured in weight, so how many grams of fat. What you really want to know is how many calories you're getting from fat, or how many grams of fat's in each meal, because just because it's 98% fat-free doesn't mean that 25, 30, 40% of the calories are from fat. Speaking of fat, this gives us a lovely segue into the next section. So on your food label, you've got your fat section. It will tell you how many grams of fat is in each food. So if you think it's important to know how much fat you're having, either calorie-wise or percentage-wise, or you're trying to keep it low, this is where you're going to find all your information. So don't worry too much about the percentages, because that's going to change from person to person. But have a look at what type of fat's in it. So like here, we've got a lot of saturated fat, trans fat, and polyunsaturated fat. What we want is omega fats. We want to keep our saturated fats as low as possible. So that's where we're going to find that out here. So we'll give you a breakdown of how much fat's in it and then what type of fat is in the food. So that's where we find that on our food label. So that brings us on to carbs. Everybody loves carbs, or they hate carbs. I love carbs. I'm on a high carb diet, but that might not be your thing. This is the section where we find out the level of carbohydrates, how many grams of carbohydrates are in each meal. And this is a really good section because it'll also tell you that dietary fiber, you do need dietary fiber in your diet. You probably need about 30 to 40 grams a day. Dietary fiber slows the release of sugar into the system. So foods higher in fiber are generally lower GI, which is also something we want to look into. So this is also going to show you where your refined sugars are, or if there's sugars in the meal. Don't worry about sugars too much. Anything can be a sugar, a carb's a sugar, particularly if it's got fruit in the meal. Here I'd be concerned because I look at my chocolate Lucky Charms, there's no fruit in there, so I know that the sugars are refined sugars, so we want to keep those low. So that's where we find that out, this section here. A quick little note I wanted to put in here is that most food labels also include sodium. So sodium is salt. So if you need to keep your salt low because you've got heart conditions or you've got high blood pressure, that's what you want to look at here, is how much sodium is in each meal. So generally you want to keep your sodium fairly low. So you want to look at how much sodium is in each section. So just look on the food label and generally sodium's going to be on there if there's any salt in the meal. So the final section we're going to look at on this section of the food label is protein. So there's 3 macronutrients, and those are carbohydrates, protein, and fats. That's what a macro diet is, when you try and have a certain percentage of each of these nutrients. So that's just at the bottom, and that's our protein there. They're not going to give you the breakdown of your amino acids, but that's just to find out. That's the section of the label that's going to show you how much protein's in each meal. So in my opinion, the most important part of any food label is actually the ingredients. I'm less interested in the metrics. I want to know what's in the food that I'm eating. So there'll often be an ingredients section. It's going to list everything that's in there, and that's what you want to have a good look at. Generally, less is more when it comes to ingredients. You want more natural ingredients. If there's a long list, that's where you might start to be concerned about the food, because it's got more preservatives, more colors, and more unnatural things in there to flesh out that meal. So an ingredient list lists everything that's in the meal, and that's by law. It has to list everything that's put in there. So a good rule of thumb is if you can't pronounce it or it looks really, really weird, you might not want to eat it. So have a good look through your ingredients list next time you pick something up, and you'll find out if the food is quite natural, if it's mostly made of sugar. Let's say our Doritos, if the first ingredient was salt, I'd be a little concerned by that. So this is going to let you know everything that's in there, so make sure there's not too many preservatives or too many colors or any kind of unnatural additives. Try and pick foods that have very organic ingredients. So if I was looking for Doritos, I want the Doritos that are pretty much just corn. That's all I want in there, is I just want my ingredients to be mostly corn. If there's lots of like synthesized things or preservative things in there, that's not the one I want to pick up. So that's the best way to look at your ingredients, is look for things that don't have lots of unnatural additives in them, and look for foods that have major ingredients of what you're looking for, so they don't list sugar or salt or a preservative high up the list. You want that stuff fairly low or not in there at all. So that's our look into a beginner's guide on food labels. If you have any further question, or you feel I didn't cover the question you'd like answered, feel free to leave a comment below and I'll be sure to fix it up in a future video. If you enjoyed today's video and you'd like to support the channel, feel free to leave a like or a comment and subscribe to the channel to let YouTube know you'd like to see more videos like this one. So I'll see you around on the Gymquisition.